You'd think a 20-foot-long, 1,000-pound apex predator would be intimidating enough for a movie, but apparently Hollywood thought Dilophosaurus needed some upgrades. So they shrunk it down to dog size, gave it a colourful frill, and made it spit venom like a cobra. It's almost insulting to the real dinosaur, which was already one of the most impressive predators of its time. The joke's on us, though. We've been believing this movie nonsense for over 3 decades. Remember that scene where Dennis Nedry gets cornered by what looks like a medium-sized dog with an attitude problem? That pathetic little creature hopping around in the mud was supposed to be Dilophosaurus, one of the early Jurassic period's most dominant predators. The movie creators took a 23-foot-long apex predator and shrunk it down to something you could probably punt across a parking lot. It's hard to believe how drastically they misrepresented this ancient giant. The real Dilophosaurus stretched nearly as long as a school bus and weighed around 1,000 pounds. Picture a full-grown brown bear, then imagine it 3 times longer with massive jaws full of razor-sharp teeth. That's the scale we're talking about here. This wasn't some scavenging pest that would run away from a human with a flashlight. This was a macro predator that ruled the early Jurassic food chain, a time when dinosaurs were just beginning to establish their dominance over the planet. The robust anatomy of Dilophosaurus tells the story of a creature built for serious hunting. Its powerful jaw structure housed rows of serrated teeth designed for slicing through flesh and bone. The muscular limbs supported a frame that could pursue prey across the ancient landscapes of what we now call Arizona. These weren't the features of a timid creature that would hide behind trees and spit at intruders. This was a predator that actively hunted everything from small dinosaurs to larger herbivores that shared its territory. The fossil evidence that revealed these true proportions came from a remarkable discovery in 1942. Jesse Williams, a Navajo man, first found the bones in 1940 near Tuba City, Arizona. A University of California field party, led by Charles L. Camp, collected 2 nearly complete skeletons from the Kayenta Formation. The holotype specimen UCMP 37302 became the foundation for understanding just how massive these predators actually were. Samuel P. Wells initially classified the find as a species of Megalosaurus in 1954, but later discoveries of even larger specimens with distinctive crests forced him to create the new genus Dilophosaurus in 1970. The size revelation fundamentally changed how paleontologists understood early theropod evolution. Here was proof that large predatory dinosaurs were already prowling the Earth during the early Jurassic, establishing the template for the massive carnivores that would dominate later periods. The 1942 specimens turned out to be juveniles, while the adult discoveries showed animals that were 1/3 larger, reaching truly impressive proportions for their time period. But size wasn't the only thing Hollywood got completely wrong about this remarkable predator. The movie added several other fictional features that have absolutely no basis in the fossil record. That terrifying moment when Dilophosaurus sprays venom directly into Dennis Nedry's face remains one of Jurassic Park's most memorable scenes. The creature hisses, tilts its head back, and launches twin streams of corrosive liquid with the accuracy of a trained marksman. Audiences watched in horror as Nedry stumbled blindly through the jungle, his vision destroyed by the prehistoric cobra's deadly gift. The scene was so convincing that millions of viewers left theaters believing dinosaurs could actually spit venom. This fictional ability became so associated with Dilophosaurus that it's still one of the first things people mention when discussing the dinosaur. The problem is that no dinosaur species has ever shown evidence of venom production. Paleontologists have examined thousands of dinosaur fossils from every geological period, and not a single specimen displays the anatomical structures required for venom delivery. Venomous reptiles need specialized glands to produce toxins, modified teeth or fangs to channel the venom, and specific skull adaptations to house these systems. Modern venomous snakes have hollow fangs connected to venom glands through a complex duct system. Venomous lizards like the Gila monster have grooved teeth that allow venom to flow from glands in their lower jaw. These structures leave clear traces in the fossil record, yet they're completely absent in every known dinosaur specimen. When paleontologists analyze Dilophosaurus skull structures, they find something entirely different. The jaw anatomy reveals a traditional bite and tear predator designed for gripping and slicing prey. The teeth were long, curved, thin, and compressed sideways with serrations at their front and back edges. These features made them perfect for gripping and tearing flesh, not for channeling venom. The jaws seem to have been strongest at the front, adapted for snatching and holding prey, with the middle teeth delivering slicing and cutting bites. This tooth morphology appears throughout theropod dinosaurs and represents a highly effective hunting mechanism that required no fictional enhancements. Hollywood chose the venom-spitting ability specifically to create a more visually striking and terrifying creature. Steven Spielberg himself acknowledged that the inaccuracies were a result of artistic license to make the dinosaur more frightening. The venom scene served the movie's dramatic needs by adding an element of surprise and danger that audiences wouldn't expect from a dinosaur. This creative decision transformed an already impressive predator into something that seemed more like a monster than a real animal. The anatomical evidence proves that Dilophosaurus was a formidable hunter that relied on its actual capabilities rather than fictional poison. Its powerful jaws and razor-sharp teeth made it perfectly equipped for its role as an apex predator. But the movie's creative team wasn't finished with their fictional makeover of this remarkable dinosaur. The moment when Dilophosaurus unfurls its colourful neck frill like a deadly umbrella became one of Jurassic Park's most iconic visual effects. The creature raises its head, spreads what looks like a massive collar of skin around its neck, and transforms from a seemingly harmless dinosaur into a terrifying prehistoric monster. This dramatic display mechanism made the movie version instantly recognizable and added a layer of visual spectacle that audiences found both beautiful and horrifying. The frill expansion scene became so memorable that it's still referenced in popular culture today, cementing this fictional feature as part of the dinosaur's perceived identity. The problem is that no fossil evidence supports the existence of any frill structure in Dilophosaurus. Paleontologists have examined numerous specimens from multiple locations, and not one shows any indication of the bone or cartilage framework necessary to support such a display mechanism. The actual neck anatomy reveals a completely different story. The vertebrae and muscle attachment points in Dilophosaurus show no adaptations for supporting an expandable frill. The cervical vertebrae are robust and designed for supporting the head and powerful jaw muscles, not for anchoring a flexible display structure. Real frilled lizards like Chlamydosaurus kingi of Australia possess specialized cartilage rods that extend from the hyoid apparatus to support their impressive neck displays. These structures leave clear traces in the skeletal system, including modified throat bones and unique muscle attachment sites. Dilophosaurus fossils show none of these anatomical adaptations. The hyoid bones that have been preserved are typical of other theropod dinosaurs with no modifications for supporting display structures. The neck anatomy is built for strength and mobility, not for dramatic visual displays. Hollywood borrowed this display mechanism directly from modern reptiles to create a more visually striking creature. The filmmakers needed a way to make Dilophosaurus more menacing and memorable, so they transplanted the frilled lizard's signature feature onto their prehistoric creation. This creative decision served the movie's dramatic needs, but created a lasting misconception about real dinosaur anatomy. The frill became so associated with Dilophosaurus that many people still expect to see it in museum displays and educational materials. The fossil preservation process itself makes it clear that soft tissue structures like frills would leave detectable traces in the geological record. When animals die and become fossilized, the hard structures that support soft tissues are often preserved even when the soft tissues themselves decay. Large display structures require supporting frameworks that would show up in fossil specimens. The complete absence of any such evidence in Dilophosaurus fossils confirms that this feature was purely fictional. The real dinosaur possessed far more fascinating display features than Hollywood's colorful umbrella. The actual anatomical marvel that made Dilophosaurus unique among early theropods was something much more substantial and scientifically remarkable. While Hollywood invented frills and venom to make their dinosaur more dramatic, the real Dilophosaurus possessed something far more remarkable. Two magnificent bony crests crowned its skull, rising like twin peaks from the top of its head. These weren't fictional additions dreamed up by movie makers. They were actual anatomical structures that set this predator apart from every other theropod dinosaur of its time. The crests were positioned symmetrically on either side of the midline, creating a distinctive silhouette that would have been instantly recognizable to other members of its species. The composition of these crests tells us exactly how they were constructed. The bony structures originated as low ridges on the premaxillae and were primarily formed by the upward expansion of the nasal and lacrimal bones. These bones were co-ossified, meaning the sutures between them became indistinguishable over time. The lacrimal bone expanded into a thick rugose preorbital boss, forming an arc at the upper front border of the eye socket and supporting the bottom of the back of each crest. This complex bone arrangement created a sturdy foundation for what would have been an impressive display structure. Scientists believe these crests were covered in keratin, the same material that forms bird beaks and claws. This covering would have given the crests a smooth, polished appearance and possibly allowed for bright coloration that doesn't survive in the fossil record. The visual prominence of these structures strongly suggests they served important social functions. The leading theories center on display purposes, particularly species recognition and sexual selection. The crest would have helped individuals identify members of their own species and played a crucial role in attracting mates or establishing dominance within social groups. Modern animals provide compelling parallels for understanding how these display structures might have functioned. Birds and reptiles use similar cranial features for communication and courtship, often incorporating bright colors and elaborate behavioral displays. The crests of Dilophosaurus may have been brightly colored and used in sophisticated behavioral displays that we can only imagine. CT scans reveal that air sacs were present in the bones surrounding the brain and were continuous with sinus cavities in the front of the skull. The antorbital fenestra was continuous with the side of the crests, indicating that the crests also contained air sacs. This intricate network of air pockets and ducts extending from the sinus cavity into the crests suggests that Dilophosaurus may have been capable of producing sounds or performing other feats with its headgear. The sophisticated anatomy of these genuine display structures far exceeded anything Hollywood could have invented. The real Dilophosaurus represents a crucial chapter in understanding how early theropods developed complex social behaviors and communication systems that would influence predator evolution for millions of years. The real science behind Dilophosaurus consistently proves more fascinating than Hollywood's fictional version when we examine the actual evidence. Instead of relying on movie magic, take the time to explore accurate paleontological research and discover the genuine wonders of prehistoric life. Museums, scientific journals, and reputable educational resources reveal the true complexity of ancient ecosystems and the remarkable creatures that inhabited them. The ongoing research by scientists like Adam Marsh and Timothy Rowe continues to refine our understanding of this iconic dinosaur, revealing new insights into its anatomy and evolutionary significance. Dilophosaurus needs no fictional upgrades to be extraordinary.